Staying up to date with everything that's happening now with tech and AI is one of the most underrated problems in 2026. And in this video, I want to introduce you to a bunch of platforms and a bunch of hacks that would ideally make your life a lot easier. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Nimrod Kramer, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of daily.dev, which is a platform where millions of developers go to daily in order to stay up to date. So I'm going to be using everything that I've learned about helping engineers and people who are entering the engineering domain to stay up to date. And I'm just going to hand over all the techniques, all the hacks, all the different platforms that I think you should be using in order to stay at the bleeding edge of tech and AI. Staying up to date in tech is not a new problem. This is a problem that existed for years, and it just became a lot worse now with everything that's happening in AI. Literally every hour, there's something new that's happening, and I see a lot of engineers talking about that online, that just to stay up to date and keep up with everything that's happening can feel like a full-time job. And ideally, after this video, you're going to have a couple of tools and a couple of techniques that would make it a lot easier for you. So you don't have this FOMO and you don't have this rush to kind of like read everything, and you only get the important stuff that you should actually consume. Now, the reason why staying up to date is so difficult comes down to two reasons. A, content is just scattered across a lot of different platforms and a lot of different sources. And just going source by source is consuming a lot of energy and a lot of time that honestly, we don't have. And the second part is that everyone can publish content, right? So it's very difficult to differentiate between good pieces of content and things that are just not worth your time. And the most frustrating part, at least for me, is that if I already found a piece of content and I read it and it wasn't that good, I was already drained, and it was very difficult to build a habit, which is insanely important if you want to keep up. Keeping up with everything that's happening is not a one-off task. You got to do it continuously. You got to build a habit. And in order for that habit to form, it has to be easy. And the goal of this video is just to make things easy. All right, so let's jump right in. The first platform we want to look into is X. And obviously there's a lot of things that are happening in X. There's a lot of people who post about X. And I'm not going to do here a full tutorial on how to use that platform because that's just going to be a bunch of nonsense. What I want to show you is one hack that I believe would 10x the output that you're able to get from X. So the single most important thing on the platform is obviously who you follow. That will be the deciding factor of which tweets you're going to see on your feed and which tweets are going to be recommended to you. And if you're just getting started, knowing who to follow is actually a very difficult thing. And there's no one place that describes that. There's a lot of blog posts on the internet, but I think a lot of them are just noise. So I want to show you one hack that I believe everyone who's just getting started and wants to get their X configured with a lot of high quality content should. So the person you're looking for is a guy named Robert Scoble. That's the guy, used to be, I think, chief strategy officer at Microsoft and did a bunch of stuff in Silicon Valley. And he's very passionate about tech. And nowadays, he's obviously very passionate about AI. And from what I've seen so far, the biggest and most underrated way to set up your X account comes from this guy. So he spent weeks and probably months curating lists on X. Lists are basically just a list of users that you can just follow in one go. So if you want to find those lists, the fastest way would be obviously to go in, type his name, and then add the word list. And here you'd be able to find some of his lists. So here, if we go on this tweet and we click the link here, we'd be able to see all the lists that this guy has created. And as you can see, there's a lot of these lists here. And each list can have up to 5,000 members. So one of the things you want to do is to pick the list that you feel is right for you and just go into it and start following individual people or just follow the entire list. That alone will 10x the value that you're going to be able to get from X. So this is one hack that I strongly recommend you to apply. Okay, so the second platform that I want to introduce you is daily.dev. Daily.dev is a platform that already helps millions of developers and engineers in any kind of seniority level, from very junior all the way to staff engineers, CTOs, VP R&Ds, to stay up to date with everything that's happening in tech. Now, obviously, I'm biased because I'm one of the founders of this startup, but I think the most important argument to understand is the power of focus. So we have been focusing on solving a single problem for many, many years, which is just helping developers stay up to date. And that has resulted in a platform that's designed purely for that. And the best news about that is that it's entirely free forever. You can just go in, sign up, configure your feed, and get all the news in one place. Now, daily.dev effectively gives you a feed with all the knowledge you need in one place. And the way it works is that we aggregate a lot of developer news from all over the internet, and we have millions of engineers that are using the platform that are also posting unique content on the platform. I think the easiest way when you get started is just to use the Happening Now page, which just gives you a quick read of everything that's happening now in tech. And if you're particularly interested in a certain topic, you can go to the agentic for AI news, or you can go to web, backend, and there's a bunch more that you can explore. And that's a very easy way within like 30 seconds, 1 minute, to just understand what's going on right now in the tech world. That's very powerful. The second thing you want to do, you want to go into your own personal feed and explore what's happening now. And the more you use the feed and the more you upvote relevant content, the better the recommendation engine would become. It will learn what you care about and will deliver you the content from all over the internet that really matters to you. And I think the biggest secret sauce of Daily Dev is the fact that there's millions of developers that are already using it. And why is that so important? Because you remember we said that there is a lot of content in a lot of different sources. That problem is solved here on this platform because we aggregate all the content from all over the internet into one platform. The second part of the problem is that there's a lot of low quality content. The way we solve it is just looking at the wisdom of the crowd. We see what developers love at scale, what they appreciate, and that helps us differentiate between good content and not so good content, so that when you use Daily Dev, you actually get a trusted and curated and personalized feed that's designed especially for you according to your stack. So if you want to broaden up your horizons, just see what's happening in general in the developer world, we also have that. You can just go to the Explore feed here and see what are some of the hottest and most discussed posts on the platform. So if we go here, you can see, all right, there's a very interesting discussion around why AI cannot pay off its $1 trillion infrastructure investment. And there will be here a lot of engineers discussing that and sharing their opinions and so on and so forth. And that's actually a very nice way for you to not just stay up to date, but also see what others think about different topics. Another cool way in which you can use Daily Dev is to use Daily Dev squads. Squads are somewhat like subreddits. They are groups of engineers by topic. There are tens of thousands of these groups on the platform that you can just join and collaborate and share knowledge with other engineers just like yourself. So you can go into groups around Gen AI, about open source, about literally any kind of topic. So you can also go to the AI squad. There's a bunch of content that's being shared here by members of the community, and some of these communities are quite big, as you can see. Okay. Now, the next platform that we're going to cover is what many people would consider the go-to, which is Hacker News. Now, I personally think that Hacker News is awesome, and it has one very clear advantage and one very clear disadvantage that you want to take into account when you're staying up to date in tech. The very clear advantage is that obviously a lot of people care about this platform, so every important link at some point will find its way onto Hacker News. And being on the front page of Hacker News is a big thing. Like, if you go here to the top 5 posts, you're probably going to get really high quality content. So this is a place you want to check daily or weekly just to see what's going on. Now, the biggest disadvantage about Hacker News is that it's non-personalized, right? It's generic. There's like one front page for everyone. And if you care about a specific area, a specific niche, that's not really going to help you. So Hacker News is great at just giving you surface level of understanding of what's happening right now in tech. But if you want to understand all the nuances, you're just not going to make it if you're going to use only Hacker News. So I definitely recommend checking that out once a day or once every couple days, but that's just not going to be enough if you want to know what's going on right now. The last platform is a platform called dev.to, or dev in short, which I think is kind of nice. It's sort of like Medium for developers. And what I like about this platform is that it focuses on creating blogs. So if you're this kind of person that really loves to create content and loves to share their journey, Dev.to is a great place to do so. And also that's a great place to kind of like see a lot of people that are building in public and sharing their insights. The biggest advantage of Dev.to is that there's a lot of content that's being created here, but that's also one of the drawbacks. So when you stay up to date, what really matters is that you get the most important piece of information in the right time at the right place. And that's a very tricky thing to achieve because that content could have been published in 1,000, if not hundreds of thousands, different places on the internet. And the content you see here was published exclusively here, which is what makes it awesome. On the other hand, it might miss a lot of different nuances. So there's no one solution fits all. But if you combine all the platforms that I've just shared, I'm pretty sure that your life is going to get 10 times easier and you're going to be a lot more in the know than any of your peers. So again, if we are wrapping up, I think that going on X and making sure that you follow the right people will make a lot of difference. The second thing, you want to use Daily Dev just so you get a personalized feed for everything you need as an engineer or as a vibe coder. That's free, so I don't see any reason why you shouldn't do it. The next thing is going on Hacker News, just to kind of like see what's happening now and what people are talking about generally, mostly in Silicon Valley, but generally speaking, and also on dev.to, just see a bunch of really cool blogs engineers have written. Now that's a wrap, and if there's anything else that you're currently using in order to stay up to date with AI, I'd be more than happy to hear about it. Share it here in the comments. And if you found this video valuable, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.